Immediately before Quadrophenia, I'd directed and produced a drama doc. I mean, it was really a play. And it won the Pre-Italia Drama Prize. And it had been seen by about 14 million people. It was very well thought of. And then that got me Quadrophenia, I think, because what happened was when Bill Curbishley, the manager of The Who, and his partner were looking for a director, Roy Baird, the producer also, were looking for a director for Quadrophenia, they asked Alan Parker and David Putnam who should direct this film, and both of them had seen Dummy and suggested me. When I was approached to do Quadrophenia, I knew of the album. There's a fantastic album by The Who. It had come out about 4 years earlier. It was quite brilliant, beautiful album, beautifully produced, black and white, beautiful photographs, great music. But it was one of their quieter albums. It hadn't, when I say quieter, I mean it hadn't made the impact that Tommy had or some of the others. They said, look, we've got a script. And it turned out to be a 230-page document written by a fan. It wasn't a film script at all. It was, it didn't count. And so the basic was, we've got the money, we want to make this film. So we went into pre-production and started writing the script at the same time. Because I like to spend a great deal of time on the cast. And I convinced the producers that because these kids are supposed to be 18, don't think of trying to get somebody who's done something before. These are all going to be new. I need a lot of time to find them. And in the meantime, we're writing the script. And I was writing the script with two people, and Dave Humphreys initially, and then about a couple of weeks before shooting, then Martin Stellman came in. So the three of us put the script together. And I was looking at locations, training actors, doing all sorts of things in the same time. I think because of Tommy and the experience of Tommy and his success, people imagined I would make like a rock opera, another rock opera. And when I looked at the material, and it was a material I was very familiar with, it's about a boy who was 18 in 1964. I was 18 in 1964. I knew this territory very well. I said, this is going to be a film about the street. It's not going to be about opera. And at one point, Pete Townsend came to meet up, and he'd got a new version of Quadrophenia, and it was with strings. And he'd spent the money and orchestrated it and everything. And I just said, I don't want to use strings at all. I want to use your soundtrack, rock and roll, guitars. And I want to use other tracks as well, because it wouldn't be appropriate just to have a Who music in this film. It's got to be a mix. And what was amazing was that Bill Curbishley was a fantastic guy, Roy Baird, the producer, and The Who, because I was so passionate about the direction I went, they just said, do it. When I work with actors, I like to have a long time beforehand. And I had a very strong, clear view of what I wanted to do. For the main actors, I said, first of all, you're riding scooters. You must be very scooter savvy. You must be able to ride these things with one hand and turn and talk to your mates and all that. So I got them all motorbikes immediately and made them drive to and from work and drive all day. And we gave them training. We did some dancing training. I took them to meet old mods. We took some speed. I shouldn't say that, but we did. I showed them the whole process of what it was like to be a mod. I mean, I'm a sort of method director, if you like. And being like a method actor, at the end of the movie, I will change as well as them. We will become different people because of our experience. This is going to be a proper experience. So that was the front line. I brought them together. I didn't choose the cast until a couple of weeks before shooting. I'd seen about 1,000 kids, and I had my favorites. I had about 100 of them. And then I finally got the whole picture together where Phil came in. That's my main group. The next group of guys who might have been in the film, I said, they're going to be my special extras. So we trained them too. And then the groups, even some of the other guys are the extras behind, because I was shooting on wide-angle lenses, the same lenses that this is very romantic, right? The same lenses that Orson Welles had used on Citizen Kane. And if you shoot on wide-angle lens, everything is in focus. You have to have a very strong foreground frame. You have to have an interesting middle, because the people are there, they're being watched, and you have to have an interesting background. It's all there. You have to compose beautifully, which I like doing, one of the pleasures of filmmaking. And so what I would say, that even the special extras knew their relationships with everybody, and knew where to stand and how to stand. Your relationship with him, is he tougher than you? You're tougher than him? Okay, if he's tougher than you, you make sure you're deferential to him. So you fancy her, you try and always be chasing her, Then with my main actors, I was saying to them, look, I want the history of before you met in this film. There's the film. It's a duration of, say, 6 weeks of time. What happened before that? Who were you? How do you know each other? What is your relationship? What happens after the film? So Mark Wingett's character goes, I fancy this girl, but Pete has got her. He's tougher than me, but he knows I'm going to kick his ass one day and steal his girl. So I said, okay, so how do we manifest that? So when you're near him, you get a bit too close to him. He gets a bit nervous. He turns away. All those little things give the texture of the film in a wide-angle lens a real, authentic reality. And that was a big part of making the film, was the authenticity of it. I'd been shooting documentaries, a lot of documentaries before that. And the interesting thing about a documentary was you were at the mercy of the action. In a feature film, you create the action, you create the scene. You decide where to put the camera, where the people are going to be. In a documentary, often, especially Cine Verite, they're doing it anyway. So the cameraman has to up with the camera and move and find the moment and be motivated by the characters. That's the style I used for Quadrophenia. I said, we're going to do the same. When we shoot this, we're going to be motivated by the movement of the actors, not the other way around. And I'm going to move a lot. Young people are very energetic. And the energy will keep going, the camera will keep moving, and it will be, but it's not going to be like they did, people started copying this sort of technique, but other people did it other than me. But they'd shake the camera to pretend that they were doing it for real and think, oh, fuck off, It's like Tony Scott is doing a big, $120 million film, bless him, because I grew up with him. He's dead now. And they'd shake the camera for fun. And he would say, no, we've been trying like hell not to shake that camera. We want to move, but we don't want it to be artificial. I had a fantastic casting director, Patsy Pollock, a really great dame. And she brought in Phil very early on, and he'd just come back from doing Zulu Dawn, the sequel to Zulu. And he looked like shit. He looked terrible. He had a green-coated tongue. He'd got sick in South Africa. And I looked at him. I didn't even want to be in the same room as him, because he looked jaundiced and ill. And I thought, I can't work with this kid. He looks appalling. But as I was 6 weeks of more casting, she said to me, oh, please see him again. And I saw him again. I thought, oh, this guy is just perfect. He's great. And by then, through the casting process, I developed my idea of who exactly the character was and what was he. He was a loser in some ways. And this is Quadrophenia in many ways is teenage angst. It's a tragedy in some ways, many ways. And this kid he didn't look like John Travolta. I think the producers maybe were expecting John Travolta. They got Phil Daniels, which I'm very happy of, because at the time, American films were all about success. The best fighter, the best guy, and best guy in the bedroom. Everybody was great looking. And I thought 99% of the people are failing 99% of the time. So we'll embody that into the story. And I think that's why the film has endured, because young people growing up look at that film and they see a kid who's not great in bed, he's not great at a fight, he hasn't got a great job, he doesn't get on with adults. And I think that teenage angst and that teenage reality makes young people feel secure. I think it was familiar with them. Familiar to them. I think, look, this is a working class movie. This is about this is not really a modern movie. This is a film about the lack of hope. If you're at the bottom end of the working class, it's very hard to have an interesting life and an interesting, career, because you are really stuck. And I came from northeast of England. A lot of people I grew up with are very stuck. They don't get out. And I think Pete understood that intrinsically. He understood about losers. That he wrote the album. This is Pete Townsend started this whole thing off. I think Roger got it. Shepherd's Bush Boy. I think they got it. Maybe they thought it looked different from what they thought, but I think it looked different from what they thought it would be. But I think in the end they were happy with it. Quadrophenia gave me massive opportunities. I was invited to go by 20th Century Fox to go and live in Hollywood. I had a 3-picture deal at Hollywood. I was given my officers and my development assistants and secretaries and so forth, and a budget and everything. And they said, said to me, we love you. You can make any film you want. What do you want to do? Do you want to do Superman, whatever it was? I said, I want to make a film called Rainforest. And they said, what is it about? I said, it's about the destruction of the Amazon. I said, well, we know what you're talking about. It's 1978, but please do it. And I went down and I spent 6 months in the Amazon over a period of 2 years and came up with, I would say, with this writer, Spencer Eastman, a masterpiece of a script. I spent the next 3 years trying to get Fox to agree to make it. I had Robert Redford attached for 1 year. And I knew then I was putting all my chips on one number, because I could have done loads of films. People like Jane Fonda, will you please do this film? Because I was the new thing in town. I didn't. I wanted to make this film because I thought it was important. It was going to be my Citizen Kane, if you like. I didn't get to make it. The rainforest is, almost destroyed, But at the same time, that is part of my life. I've done that 2 or 3 times in my life. And rather than just make another film, like a copy, another version of a slasher movie against women, as they were all very popular in the 80s, or this or that, I thought, no, I'll stick with this. And if I don't get it, I don't get it. But I always provided for myself. I have lots of children. I got 7 kids. I invented TV formats to pay for my habit of film. And, that has provided me with, allowed me to be a producer, a publisher, allowed me to live a very interesting and strange life. But I didn't get to make the films I would really have liked to have made, which would have been Rainforest. And there's one I'm doing now. I've been trying to get the money for 7 years.